got a podcast show, sipping on a cold one, watch his stories grow. From the city lights to the quiet streets, Tater's talking about life with a beer at his feet. He's got the guests, he's got the spark, interviewing folks who've made their mark. Firefighters, cops, yeah, they're all here, talking about the things that they hold dear. It's Tater and a beer, shooting straight from the hip, talking about the real stuff, no need to skip, with a fireman's heart.
And a beer. We are on episode number 2. Boogie, how you feeling, man?
Pretty good. How about everybody else here? Hopefully everybody's good.
Everything's set up. So I am getting everything fixed on the back end side so you all can go ahead and continue. They can hear you.
All right.
I
So, as everybody
Decoy,
out
you are
there,
not being heard. But
Yeah,
on my
okay,
end.
I should be now. I fixed the microphone.
There you go.
all right. So, as everybody out there in YouTube land can see, we have our special guest for the night. Uh, Everybody might know him as Decoy NDA.
Howdy, howdy,
Um,
everybody.
he is or retired law enforcement.
XLEO, yeah.
Yeah,
Not
ex law
retired.
enforcement. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So ex law enforcement. So Steve, the way this works is we kind of interview you. Of course, I sent you some stuff to come up with. So what we'll do is we'll kind of start with the questions and get right into this thing since we kind of got a late start due to some technical difficulties on my end.
Well, it happens. But that's why, being a host also, I have backups. And if we didn't have me as a backup, of course, we got the great and one and only BB.
Yeah, he is he is the master.
Oh, yeah.
So Boogie, you wanna kick this thing off tonight?
Throw me right there, man. All right. So I'm going to steal from our list, lovely list. When did you decide to join the law enforcement?
Well, so it kind of goes back to, as a kid, always playing cops and robbers and everything. Half the block wanted to be firemen, the other half wanted to be cops, the other, and of course, there's always the kid that wants to be the robber. So
Tater, your volume is a little bit.
is it
Yep.
okay? I don't know if it's on my side or no, he's good on my side. So uh, basically, just something that I started hanging out with a lot of different people when I was getting to be a little older, and a couple of them were cops. One was like patrolman that we knew all the time, and the other one was just a really good friend. So I started doing ride-alongs, and it almost got to the point to where I was like going on a ride-along like once a week, and you know didn't really matter much because I knew the chief of police, he knew my dad, and so it's like it's like he didn't really care. And then one town over, they had an opening, and it was for reserve police officers. So I went through and did that, and Pops, who was I can't remember his actual name. We always called him Pops. Chief of police, brought me on, and uh, had fun at that point. Working with the department. I actually gave them their very first website, and then after that, I moved out to the East Coast for a job, and and they're too damn crazy to be cops out here.
Yeah, we get a little crazy on the East Coast.
Yeah, I prefer if I was going to do it again, I would prefer to be a map top cop again, just because what I learned, and I was only a cop for about a year and a half before I moved out here for another job, but it taught me a lot that you know coming from a map dot, it's more about community policing than it is making money for the mayor. And I mean, I came from a town that was like 1,000 people, unless college was in session. Then it was 4,000 people. So that's quite a big gain when college is in. So, and college is what, only about 9 months out of the year. So you have a couple of months where you've got nothing going on. And so it's like you're just sitting there and you're doing community policing with the people compared to, hey, don't do this, here, I'm going to give you a ticket for, looking at me wrong, which that's like one or two towns over from where I was a cop. And it's like, just not my cup of tea. And it's like the people in the smaller communities are very close knit. I mean, you probably know this, Tater and Boogie, being, away from big cities and everything, how close knit it is. I mean, you could probably go down the street, see a sheriff deputy or a cop or whatever, and you probably know the guy.
Yep.
Yeah, I can say that I do know that that life very well. So we'll lead right into the next one, and you kind of hit on it in the question Boogie asked you, but what what made you want to be law enforcement?
Well, it kind of really started. The drive for it really started with 9/11. That was the actual push for it. I knew I didn't have what it took to be a firefighter, but I wanted to do something to help give back to my community and to help protect my community. So that's when I pretty much went down the lines and said, yeah, let me go ahead and do this. And that's when I made the actual jump. Went through the academy, went through the all the psychological and all that other good stuff, and then, like I said, as soon as when I moved out here, they were heartbroken. I was literally heartbroken, but it's one of those life decisions that you got to make, but in a way you kind of regret it.
Okay. So 9/11 was a big spark for you in joining law enforcement. Um, I know for me, 9/11 was one of the big reasons that I joined the military. You know, a way to help help my fellow countrymen
Yeah,
in defending this great country we live in. I mean, without without military, without Elliot, without law enforcement, and these other public service departments, you know, we wouldn't be able to live the way we live and do the things we do. Um, we wouldn't be able to do what we're doing right now if it wasn't for those people. So,
that is true. That is true.
Yep.
And I mean, and I see your point of view also, to where to go out and do that. Unfortunately for me, I was at the top of the age bracket to where I couldn't do that because they had that very fine window that they're looking for people to go in and do everything. So I was already past that point to where I couldn't even do anything. So my best bet would have done been then to go into law enforcement, even as a reserve officer, and to help still protect the community at that point. That's like
Heck
now
yeah.
I'm probably too old, too fat, too anything to do it now anyway.
I found out the other day I'm too old to go back into the military, so, hey.
Yeah.
But for me, especially now, I I wouldn't want to go back active duty just because of my wife and kids, and even reserves or National Guard. That still puts you at that risk of being deployed, and
Hmm.
then my wife is left to do everything on her own while I'm gone for a year for four kids. So it's kind of one of those things. Yes, I'd love to go back, but then again, I don't want to leave my wife or my kids either.
Yeah.
Boogie.
All right. So, what was an experience with the public that was most memorable?
Okay, so I told you I was a member of a map dot community police department. Well, as you probably are very much aware, they are also animal control in most places. Well,
This is what I've been waiting for.
we got a call from the college of a boa constrictor loose in the college. And it's like, okay, wait, what? It's like, so it was me and two other officers. We go over to the college and we find whoever reported it. I think it was a biology instructor or a professor. And like, yeah, we just saw a huge boa constrictor go this way and then that way, then this way. And so we're thinking, I'm looking at the other officers are looking at me. It's like, where in the hell would a boa constrictor come here in the middle of nowhere, Oklahoma? And they're like, oh. So we we commenced to be looking for this snake. And I mean, we did a full building search on that quadrant of the school. It was like 3 to 4 hours of searching for a snake. And we're thinking huge, huge snake. Well, after about 3 hours of searching for this snake, we found the snake. It was not a boa constrictor like they said it was. It was a little black snake, black racer actually, and it was about a good 4 to 5 foot long. It was a healthy snake, and we said, where did this snake come from? And they said, we have no clue. So we got a hold of other people. It's like, hey, do you know what this is? And one of the kids said, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I put it in this trash can over here. There's one of the big old giant Huffy, 55 gallons, and it had a lid on it. Well, he didn't put the lid on too tight, and the snake just literally got out of it somehow. And it was like, what in the world would somebody bring a freaking snake and put it in a trash can in the middle of the school for a biology teacher? And it's like, oh yeah, well we caught it in the backyard and we thought it'd be kind of cool to show it to the teacher and everything. It's like, no, no, no. So that was the night that me and two other officers arrested a black snake for trespassing in a school.
So I got a question.
Hmm.
One, you wouldn't use handcuffs, so you'd what use a snake cuff? And where do you
No.
where do you find those?
What, black racers or
No,
handcuffs?
handcuffs to fit a snake.
Oh, tail cuffs? No. Yeah. No, we pretty much just took it right outside and just let it go. It was like, yeah, I get what you're getting at. Yeah, funny, haha. But yeah, it was like a very interesting night. A good way to spend 4 hours, you know, when you could have been out, eating a donut on the stop sign.
Yeah, I've been waiting almost 3 weeks to ask you that question, Steve.
Oh, I know.
It's
But
been eating away at me on the inside.
yeah, but it's like when people tell me, "Well, what's the most exciting thing you've ever done?" It's like I arrested a snake. That's what I always tell them. I normally turn around and walk away, so it leaves them completely dumbfounded. It's like, what does he mean by he arrested a snake? But
That
it's
whole leave them scratching their head.
exactly. But like I said, it's a map dot, so we don't really do much for entertainment because, like I said, we're all community policing. Uh, I mean, one of our biggest thrills was being able to go to the varsity football teams for free and watch them play football.
Yeah, we where I live, the school I work at is actually the home school for our local sheriff. So he comes to a lot of our basketball games, baseball games, stuff like that.
Yeah.
All right. Woo. So, can you name some basic tools other than the obvious ones that you used?
Well, it depends on what you're trained for. I mean, I never got tased, so I was never qualified to use a taser. But I was batoned, of course, with a padding and everything. So I was qualified to use a baton. Outside that, being maced was not a fun experience. I don't care what anybody says. Um, that hurts. It hurts really, really bad. Uh, so I was able to carry mace. I never did. I didn't feel I needed to. Uh, and then outside of that, that's the majority of what we truly use the most. Um, we never our
Hey,
department was so
Decoy.
yeah.
Chuck is saying that we're all still a little quiet and he has his volume on his phone all the way up.
Okay, well, I'm showing that everybody is hitting pretty good. Let me. Is it not pick? Okay, it's starting to pick up. Okay, try to say
Uh,
something
what's
now.
what's going on, Rocky Mountain Productions? How you doing, Tyler? Good to have you, bud.
Okay, I just raised it all up in OBS because in OBS you all are hitting almost in the red now. You're hitting right at the top of the or halfway through the yellow, so I
Yeah,
moved
now
it
you're a
up.
little louder.
Okay,
All right, you can go back. Thank you, bud.
not a problem. So that's about the only tools that I really remember really using. We didn't have AR-15s. We did have the our Remington 870s. So I did qualify with that with both double aught and door knockers. And I used a Beretta 9mm with over palm grips for my service weapon.
All right. All right, Tater.
Alrighty. All right, Decoy. How long did you stay in law enforcement? How long were you as a whole part of law enforcement?
It was right around a year and a half. And like I said, it was moving out to the East Coast was a um, spur of the moment deal. I literally got the job call and they said, we need you out here in 3 days. So I literally had a lot of shit to do in 3 days in order to make it out here. That's include get airfare, ship everything, and that I needed to get started, and then close everything out there.
That's a quick quick phone call.
Yep.
I mean,
And it
they
was
give
one
you
I was not even expecting.
wow. That's yeah. That's that's one of those where you think to yourself, okay,
Hmm.
um, where do I start? I mean,
Yeah,
phone call you don't expect, and then they tell you, well, you get here in 3 days.
exactly. And it's like, my first rule is be adaptive and always be adaptive. Never stop. It's like, if you're going down that straight and narrow road and you come to a fork in the road and someone says go left and you keep going straight, or you go to the right and they tell you to go left, do the obvious, go left. It's be adaptive. Don't just say, hey, I'm gonna just keep going and not stop. Because number one, you never know when you're gonna run into a boulder in the road, or if a door's gonna open and you need to go through it or not. Um, I've I've had some times in life where it's like, it's like you hit a brick wall, or you think you're gonna hit a brick wall, and then right at the last minute, a wily coyote comes out, paints the tunnel, and you go on through. So you just always be adaptive.
Adapt and overcome.
Yep.
That's a good rule to live by.
And if you can't control it, don't worry about it.
Yep. You want to ask the next one again? Since I did 2 in a row there, bud.
Um, trying to decide which one I want to ask, Boogie. There's two. I'll just go with the next one in line. Were you ever injured? As far as did you ever receive any injuries in line of duty?
Not in physical line of duty, but yes, in our training, uh, we were doing qualifications for our 9 millimeter. Um, so we were full decked out. We had our full uniform on. We had our ballistic vest on. We had our ceramic plate in. We had um, full duty belt, full clips, everything. And we were in indoor range at the armory. And I had hearing protection fail in my right ear. So being indoor with all the echo, everything else, um, not enough to be a disqualifier, but now I have constant tendonitis in my right ear.
Damn.
That constant ringing.
Yes, it's actually ringing pretty good right now because I have headphones on. The more I wear headphone over the ear headphones, the more it actually aggravates it. But it's something that if I'm talking like I am right now, it seems like the ringing goes down, and then if I get quiet for a while, then the ringing comes back up. So it's like if I'm talking, it kind of like lowers the tendonitis. I don't know if it's just mentally from what I think it's perceiving, because it's like nerve damage and everything else, but uh, the hearing, the loss of the hearing is what they say negligible. Um, I used to be able to hear like a siren for like 4 or 5 miles away, and now it's like closer to about a mile. I can actually pick up a good, clean wail of a siren.
So, are you able to put like earplugs inside the ear, or does that bother you?
No, like if I do earplugs inside the ear, it'll start out okay, but like at night, if I have to put like earplugs in for any particular reason, like a bad thunderstorm or something like that, the ringing will get to the point to where I would have to literally pull them out of them, because the only ones I can truly use to block all of the noise are the silicone earplugs that you have to roll into a ball and smash into it and make a seal on the outside. I can't put anything up into it because
See,
that really aggravates.
Chuck just said my favorite part is when my ears decide a flashbang sounds pretty good right now.
Yeah, actually, I think Chuck or Timmy, and I think we talked about it like on one of our aftermath, or it's like after the fact we were actually talking about it. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's that's the only thing that I've actually had for an injury.
See, I had a burn in my left ear, so if I put earplugs in, it bugs the hell out of me. I can't keep it in. I gotta take it out. So anytime I gotta wear ear protection, it's over the ear. Because if it goes in, I can't stand it.
Yeah, like I said,
So
the only thing I found that works are actually I think I do. Hold on a sec. Been a while since I used them, but this is what they kind of look like right here. They're just like a little silicone deals. You just mash them up in a ball and you just cram them in your ear. And you can get these at like CVS, Walgreens, or Walmart.
anything that goes in the ear, even when the doctor plays with it, I can't stand it.
Yeah.
So all right. So maybe one and last question, maybe more will come up. How many officers were in the department at the time you were active?
Okay, so full time, um, full time, full commission officers. There was 6 of them. So that's the Monday through Friday. 10-hour shifters. Um, Outside of that, um, the rest were reserve, and the reason why is because the city didn't really have a big budget, which we understand. Uh, According to Oklahoma statute, being a reserve officer, you still had to be paid, but the salary was nothing really. I think more or less, I, if I remember, I don't remember how much I actually got paid because I never took the money. I took the money and I gave it back to the police department. I said, "Here, buy us something," because it's like I'm doing it for the community. I don't care about the money. I had another job. I didn't care. Um, and so it was, I think, yeah, it was 6 officers full time, and then the rest were reserve. I think we had 10 reserve officers. The only difference is that we could only work 4 hours per night, uh, and we could only work a maximum of 5 nights. So with that many reserve officers, there was always somebody biting to be out there with one of the other 6 officers. So we always had plenty on patrol. I mean, a
All
thousand
right.
people, not that many.
Yeah. All right,
Plus,
Tater, you got any other ones?
plus we also did dispatch and jailing and corrections and everything else for them if needed to.
I don't have any at the moment, so what we're going to do at the moment is we're going to open it up for our chat. If anybody in the chat's got any questions they'd like to ask Decoy, we'll give it a couple minutes. Steve, if you got something else that you want to share while we're waiting to see if anybody in the chat has any questions, you feel free. But we'll give our chat a few minutes, and if they got any questions they want to ask you, we'll read them out.
Yeah, I don't have anything right now, but if I remember what you were saying earlier, um, about what's coming up, I may have something to kind of share on out here locally. Also, that what you're going to be talking on one of your topics.
So Tyler wants to know, does a taser work? I don't know if he means did it work
I,
on you or does it work in general?
I
I'm
can't answer because I never got tased. I never got
wondering if he's
tased.
just asking how does it work.
Well,
That could be too.
I mean, the way a taser works is literally it's a high voltage, low amp. Um, it's a high voltage, low amp battery with a resistor that when it shoots into you, the prongs are trying to be within a certain distance. So your body would be like another resistor, and it would literally go from point A to point B through your body really, really quick. Um, and no, it's not enough to literally stop a heart or anything like that. Uh, the barbs literally only go in about no more than a quarter of an inch, and they it's do you know what a tinge unit is, or
Yes.
a differential or exponential machine? Basically
Yep.
the same thing. That's literally all it is. You have point A to point B electrical, and you're doing stimulation across the points at that point. Um, so it's nothing that's going to affect your heart or your lungs or your breathing unless you actually literally get hit in the neck area, which a lot of people say it can cause your throat to compress and everything. That'd be only thing that could actually be of a hazard for it. Um, I use the tin machines all the time for my lower back, my neck, on the back part of my neck and everything for the trapezoid muscle area groups and everything. And I've been doing that for years. It's never bugged or bothered me. And so what a taser is designed is to literally make your entire muscles tense up to where you can't move temporarily. So that way you can be subdued or restrained at that point.
Oh, there's okay.
So Chuck wants to know, what was your worst shift?
My worst shift. Oh, well, it wasn't truly on duty in the town. I was on my way to the academy. Um, I was in full uniform, which representing the department. This is before I truly had my badge, because, like I said, I was actually in the academy. Um, I was commissioned already, but didn't truly have my badge. Well, I had my badge, but it wasn't on because not working patrol or whatever. Um, had I was going down the highway going to the academy, and like I said, I know a hell of a lot of LEO. There was a bad wreck. Literally, a motorcyclist uh, went wrong way of traffic head on into a car. Needless to say, he did not survive. Uh, I had to stop to traffic control uh, behind the accident scene, flip people around, tell them to go the wrong way, um, and then finally got that cleared out, and then moved them over to the cut across where they could just go around because the road was going to be shut down for an extended period of time. Um, that one, as you can probably see in my voice and everything, it still affects me to this day after seeing what I saw.
All right. Well, now I'm gonna ask that the same to Mr. Tater real quick, because I want to see if he had one.
Worst shift.
Yep.
My worst one that I can remember, probably the worst one I ever had. I wasn't actually working for the department. I was going through school, so the department I was with, I was a volunteer, and that department was actually sponsoring me to go through the fire academy. But we got a call for a structure fire on as a double wide, I guess you could call it. But it was a veteran in a wheelchair who fell asleep with a cigarette in his mouth. It caught him and his wheelchair on fire. Um, we get there. By the time we get there, um, law enforcement had pretty much got the fire out from the door. with water cans and fire extinguishers. Um, But we go in, of course, full gear. Um, and what got me about that is even in full gear SCBA mask on, that smell of burning flesh, you could smell it through your mask. It got in your mask some way, shape, form, or fashion. It got in, and that's all you could smell. Um, but yeah, that probably had to be my worst one. And of course, I got asked 1,000 times while we were there, um, if I was okay, you know, how I was doing, because that was my first time dealing with a, that particular instance, and there being a deceased person there. And then I got a phone call the following morning checking on me to make sure I was doing doing okay. Um, it did, you see something like that, you don't forget it ever.
I don't.
That
No,
sticks
you
with
did
you.
not.
That sticks with you forever. The actually dealing with it and helping out didn't really bother me. Um, what got me was the fact that it was a veteran, who was in a wheelchair. He was living by himself, and through a freak accident, he ended up his life ended up getting cut short. I think that's what bothered me and still bothers me the most about that whole call in general. But yeah, that's to this day the worst one I ever dealt with.
I can relate to that smell. I've dealt with that too with fire, but that wasn't my worst one. So I suppose you're gonna want me to tell my worst one, huh?
If you can, if not, then that's
No, I
fine too.
can. We received a 911 call for a dump truck versus moped. So I was already at the station. We took off. We get on scene. The dump truck was tipped over. This full load of sand it was taking to the construction site was all dumped. And we're trying to figure out where this guy on the moped went to. The couldn't see anything that could be under the truck. We found him in the ditch burning. And it turned out I knew the guy. He was one of my football coaches when I was in high school. And a lot of us on the department also knew him and were close to him because of football and having him as a teacher. Fortunately, he did not survive it. Well, he wasn't even alive when he got hit by the dump truck. He ended up having a massive heart attack, which killed him before he got hit. They believe that by the time he got hit, he didn't feel nothing. The only thing that keeps wondering in my brain is how that dump truck driver is, because he's sitting there most of the day wondering if he killed somebody that day, which he didn't. But that was a hard one. They ended up having counselors come to the fire department, answer a lot of questions, and listen to our stories and everything, because it was a lot of us affected that day. So, but that was my hardest one, is responding to somebody that you actually know and that they didn't make it was really hard.
Yeah, I'd hate to know I had to do that now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So, all right. So, on that note, let's get back to maybe some positivity here. Hunter wants to know. Hunter actually has 3 questions for you, Steve. So I can ask all three and you can answer them, or we can go one at a time, however you want to do it, sir.
It's your show.
All right. So first question is, did you ever shoot anyone? And if so, how many instances did that occur?
No, I only pulled my service weapon one time, but it was not at any person. It was to do another building sweep. So we found an open door, so we did. called for backup, did a 2-person sweep of the actual building. That's the only time I ever pulled my weapon.
Okay, and next question is, how many arrests did you have in your career?
In my career, I had 0
That's
tickets.
pretty good.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Like I said, it's all community based. Uh, Most of what we did was, like I said, verbal warnings. Um, we had one situation to where we had one intersection that had like 7 stop signs, and only one area did not have a stop sign. So if the chief said, "Yeah, we need to go get a ticket or whatever," we would always be able to sit there and get at least one person for running the stop sign. And so that's what we would do. We would literally go out, we would sit there, get our one person, give him the ticket, and then go back and say, "Here you go, chief, here's your ticket." And he'd leave us alone.
All right.
Alright, and his last question is, did you have to work with a partner or was it more solo?
It was our choice. I preferred to have a partner majority of the time. Because like I said, it's a small town and it gets really, really boring just being out there in a car by yourself. So we would normally partner up. There'd be like 1 or 2 full-time officers always working a shift. So 1 or 2 of us would actually kind of partner up with them. And then they had like one extra cop car, which was literally an old beat up state cruiser. I mean, we're talking like 250,000 miles on this beast. Um, and you prayed that it would get you to the gas station to get gas. So I preferred to have a partner.
I think this day and age, a lot of cops would prefer to have a partner, but then again, too, most time, I don't know about where y'all are, but where I'm at, if one stops you, it's not very long before another one shows up.
Yeah. I mean that kind of takes into another story that was kind of strange. It was like for some reason we had somebody in custody that was a 1095er, which is mental health issues. And like I said, we're a little map dot, so we literally had to take him to Oklahoma City, and that's like a 2.5 hour drive. So, of course, he's handcuffed and everything. Yeah, we weren't mean or anything. We cuffed him in the front. We treated him more dignified because we knew that mental health was an issue and everything. The guy was actually pretty cool. I mean, he was sitting there trying to carry on conversations and everything else, and that was one that we actually literally had to have a 2-man team. Um, and so we were bebopping down the road and everything, and you know, the town I'm on, is right along I-35. So we have a quarter of a mile section that's technically within our city limits. And it's just to cover a truck stop and a casino. Well, it's a casino now, but it used not to be. So um, we we get in there and we're bebopping down the road, and the guy in the back's, I mean, like I said, he's a cool guy and everything. He goes, "Hey, can we stop here and go get a burger?" And it's like, "No, sorry, we can't do that and everything." So oh man, whatever. Just one good piece of food before I have to go. No, sorry. So we're bebopping down the road and everything, and we get to Oklahoma City. We get to the hospital. We drop them off. We sign over all the paperwork and everything. Here we are. We're in a marked unit. We're in a full uniform, badge, gun, belt, everything. And the guy that I'm with, he goes, "You hungry?" I said, "Yeah, I'm hungry." So he goes, "Okay, let's go find a place to eat." So we are literally in the wrong part of Oklahoma City, and we are down on Martin Luther King Avenue. and there's a nice looking restaurant. So we pull in there, and we get out of the car, and it's like everybody is stopping and looking at us like, what the hell's going on here? Because number one, we're not in the right Oklahoma City Police uniform. We're not in the right, police cruiser. And we get up to the door. We go in and we get up to the waitress, and we say, "Yeah, we'd like a table for two." And the waitress says, "Honey, it's best for you to go ahead and get in your cop car, turn around, and leave as quickly as possible." And we said, "Why?" Because we're not from Oklahoma City, so we don't know. She goes, "You're police officers, right?" I said, "Yeah, we just left the hospital." She goes, "Yeah, I would leave before you get shot." It's like, oh, whoa, okay. Yeah, so we grabbed a burger on the highway.
That seemed like a safe option.
Yes. I've never actually been in a situation to where that was because I mean the restaurant looked nice. We didn't see anything going on, but then again, here we are. We're in a marked cruiser, so they're going to probably be ducking off the ways and everything else. And it's like, but no, I mean, my red flag did not go off at all. His red flag didn't go off at all. So we just figured it was just another neighborhood in Oklahoma City, but apparently not. I guess we walked into one of the top 5 worst neighborhoods in Oklahoma City, but yet that's where the hospital was.
That reminds me of a story. It has nothing to do with what this podcast is about, so I'll save that for an off stream share. So we'll do one more question. It's from Timmy. He said, did you ever have to deploy your OC spray?"
No, and the reason why is because I said I've been sprayed. I was certified for it, but I never carried it. I didn't believe in carrying OC spray because, like I said, I was in a town of 1,000, um, and I figured if I needed to, I could defend myself well enough with a baton, uh, to where you can, deflect and reflect with a baton. You don't have to strike. You can use it if someone's trying to come after you, whatever. You can actually do, your moves and everything else with it. Uh, if somebody's being uncooperative, there's pressure points on the back of the neck and the front of the neck that you can actually use to get them to move very very quickly. Just with a blunt object and the baton just pushing right there will actually make you get out of a chair very very quickly. So no, nothing with the OC spray. Didn't like it. Didn't care for it. Having it done to you, I understand why they make you go through it because yeah, it's not a pleasant experience.
Yeah, I've been around it when it's been sprayed, and yeah, even not being the one being sprayed, just being in an area where it's happened,
Yeah.
it's rough.
Yeah,
I'd almost rather take that taser than to get sprayed with OC spray.
Yeah, I would have probably
I
chose the taser over the OC spray, to be honest with you.
never had any experience, so no clue how it is.
The only thing worse than OC spray that I can think of would be the CS gas. That the CS
Oh,
gas that the military makes you deal with when you go through basic. They put you in the gas
yep.
chamber. Um, that's that's pepper spray on steroids, if you ask me.
Hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
I've seen some of the biggest, baddest guys in the world go in there. Oh, this ain't gonna affect me, and they're coming out with the snot, coming all the way down to their
Yep.
knees and everything else. It's like, yep. If you want to get rid of your sinuses, go in there for 5 minutes.
We, I can tell you, we all went in talking a big game. We did not come back out talking that same big game.
Nope.
Now there are people, and I've seen it, that can go in there and come out the same way they went in. There are actually people out there that it doesn't affect. It don't bother them. But the majority of people, I'd go to say 98 or 99% of people, you go in there one way, and when you come out, it changes you
Yeah.
100%.
Yep.
If you went in there with any sinus issues at all, they're cured when you come out.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. If you need to go get clear up a sinus infection, go in there for 5 minutes. It'll take care of it.
Yeah. So, all right, Steve. Well, at this point, this is where we go over some topics that me and Boogie have picked out. Some are current, some are not as current. But we just go through them, talk about them, um, get all of our opinions on them. So the first topic, Boogie, I'm gonna let you cover since it's one that you picked out.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and let you cover that for 1 minute. While you go doing that, I will be right back. I gotta step away for a minute.
All right. So our first one we're going to talk about, it's not a very long one. It's a fire that destroyed a Sheboygan County garage that was attached. Oh, wrong one. Share screen. I'll share my screen on it.
Okay, you got it. That's what I was fixing to do.
So it's not a big article. I'm just keeping the picture showing up. They spawned into a nice little garage fire. Oh crap! Oh, they'll see a little bit of it. Yep. No, it won't, because Mr. Um, Decoy's gone. I'll show the picture when we can, but we'll talk about it a little bit. It was an attached house garage. It started on fire. They responded to a fully engulfed with a trailer outside burning and a car that was inside that was a total loss. The fire did expand to the roof of the house, but the rest of it, there was only water damage. No one was reported injured, but however, multiple firefighters reported falls due to the lovely icy conditions of the snow and that. Because here in Wisconsin, it gets icy when it's cold outside and snow on the ground. It's not fun. Been there. It sucked to be out there.
If firefighters falling due to ice is the worst injuries they had, they did a great job.
Yep. So,
So
the reason for the fire is still under investigation, so they don't know any much more of it. But some people saying garage fires are not totally bad fires to fight. I don't know, because I've been to one that was right next to my house. When the pager went off, went outside, it looked like my backyard was daylight because it was so bright. It was crazy. I get to this. The rule of my fire department: if you're going to pass this, you're by the scene, you stop, you don't continue. Well, I didn't have any of my gear. I ain't an officer. I didn't want to charge of that scene, so I kept driving. Got to the station and started yelling what we had. Had another firefighter say, "Stop yelling. I don't know what I'm talking about." So he got bumped off the first engine, and the officer told me to get on because he knew where I lived, so he knew I knew what I was talking about. We had two cars were in the garage at the time. I could see when I drove by. A vehicle outside was also burning with power lines above that were burning. So we ended up evacuating everybody on the block to the east. So my parents had evacuated out of the house too for it, because our house was to the east of it. And we had an engine from a different city spraying our garage so it wouldn't catch on fire, because it was close enough that it could cut our garage on fire. But it's not easy, especially if it's connected. But we did save that one house. It was a historic house too. We saved the house because it was attached, and the reason why that fire started because the guy just was doing some furnishing and had put all the stuff in a garbage bag and tied it up, and all the chemicals caused a chemical reaction which started the fire on that one.
Yep. Fires seem to be going rampant right now.
Yeah, this year for sure.
This year has been horrible for fires.
Especially wild grass fires and forest fires are going crazy.
That is for sure. And I live in a place where we normally don't get many, and we are getting slammed with them at the moment.
Yep. We had already two marshes in Wisconsin here go up in flames in two different counties. One was a county to the west of us here, just one county over. Their marshland lit up on fire. So yeah, it's crazy. There's a lot of fire bans going around all over the place. That's how bad it is. I
Well,
see Mr. Decoy's back. Hopefully you
Decoys,
can
you're
click
back.
on that little stream there so you can let
Okay,
the stream see these pictures.
yeah, the stream is big. I did that before I left.
Oh, all right. Awesome. So they can see these aftermath of the scratch fire and the little trailer with little burns and all the firefighters there. Just basically looks like they're standing there talking with their engine and their ladder truck there with the road blocked off. This was early in the morning, I believe. No, it was in the afternoon, near evening time.
Is what 2:30 is what it said.
The crews left the scene around 6 p.m. and the fire 3:20 p.m.
Okay.
And this was on in February 20th of February. So, but yeah, it's totally destroyed the garage. On that one. So, but at least there was no reported injuries. I just dropped my beer bottle. Awesome.
Hopefully it's empty.
It
So,
was, thank God.
so I'm glad you said that, Boogie, because this is called Tater and a beer. So while we're gonna take a minute, and what are you drinking on, Boogie, as far as beer there, buddy?
It was the Smirnoff apple.
Smirnoff. Ooh, that sounds good.
It is good.
So I am drinking one of my go-tos, which is
We're back again, our one.
my old Michelob Ultra.
Michelob's, yep.
Yep. I I didn't want any Keystone tonight, so I went with Michelob.
Well, I was going to drink a non-alcoholic IPA, but I forgot when I went across the bridge into Virginia to go pick some up last weekend.
I take it you weren't going back across that bridge?
Oh, well, it costs money to go across the bridge one way, but the other way's free.
Oh, well, yeah. I can see how that, yeah, I wouldn't want to go across it again either.
Yeah, I only go there when I need to go get gasoline. So it's like, well, I had to go get gas. So I was going to go across the bridge into Virginia. And I was going to get the Samuel Adams non alcoholic lager that they sell over at Walmart over there. But I forgot to pick some up for this episode, unfortunately.
It's all good. Boogie can tell you our first episode of Tater and a Beer, I wasn't actually drinking a beer, so
Nope, it sure wasn't.
I was drinking a mixed drink, so it happens.
Well, it's a nice pick of poison is my wonderful Dr. Pepper.
Hey, I'm glad my daughter ain't in here. She got a T-shirt that says her blood is made of Dr. Pepper, or sweatshirt. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, we don't get the good ones up here. We get the ones that are bottled by Pepsi.
No, see, ours down here, I think, are bottled by Coke.
Yeah. Better quality control in them.
Very much so. All right, so leading into the next one, since we did bring up the wildfire thing, I um a website, National Fire News, and on here they actually have, and I'll share my screen real quick. They actually have a list, and it shows all the current wildfires that are actually happening, what states are happening, how many they got, total acres burned. It tells you how many at that moment they had contained. So, for example, since I live in North Carolina, we'll go with North Carolina. At the moment, you can. I don't know. It says it's paused on my side, so
No,
we'll
you're
have to
good.
wait and see.
No, it's
Okay.
no,
Okay.
it'll
So,
do that to save your bandwidth.
oh, okay. So North Carolina, it just goes through the wildfires that are burning, like Crusoe Island, which is literally less than 15 miles from my house. 536 acres have burnt. They've got it 80% contained at the moment. Let's see, Rattlesnake Branch, 500 acres just started. Um, I don't even. That's how would y'all say that?
Alarka.
Alcra, Alarka,
Alarka.
yeah. 970 acres, 5%. Florida, I mean, Florida's got 27,000 acres on, just over 27,000 acres on fire.
So on those three fires, where are those three fires located? Because I'm kind of curious. Then in like the Everglades.
So one is 7 miles east of Florida City, and it's 95% contained. Port La Bella, Florida, and then Catherine, Florida, Lake Catherine.
Okay, so Florida City, Florida. Well, I'm wondering where that's at. Because I'm wondering if that's like in around the Everglades area.
I think it is.
That
Uh,
is all the way down at the very tip or the southern tip of Miami. So yeah, that's like hitting into the lower wildlife area. Yeah, the Glades Wildlife Environmental Area.
and then let's see, Oklahoma. They've got 11 at the moment
Yep.
going on. Uh, I don't know if you know where any of these places are, Steve.
I used to go to Hominy all the time. The BIA is the Bureau of Indian Affairs because that's Osage agency. Anything in Osage County is owned and operated by the Osage tribe. Hominy is one of their bigger communities. They have Pahuska Hominy over there. McAllister, I know where that's at. Um, there's another one in Hominy. Haydenville, I've heard of it, never been to it. Sallisaw, I kind of know where that's at. Uh, Henrietta, uh, Hominy again. So there's quite a few that's going on in Osage County. Uh, Boyle, never heard of that one. Uh, Toka, Dustin. Yeah, these other ones I'm not familiar with, like Squirrel, Half Bank Road, or anything like that. But the ones over in Hominy, those are all in Osage County.
I tell you, that's the
And
name for a fire, squirrel.
yeah, Squirrel. Um, I'm wondering if it's like a Squirrel River or Squirrel Road or something like that, how they got the name for it. But those are, the ones in Osage County, yeah, they're going to be probably pretty big. And the reason why is because they have the tall prairie preserves and plains out there, which are, lands that are basically there. The only thing that may be out there anymore would be a couple of old abandoned oil pumps, or you're going to be wind turbines. and the fire's not going to be high enough to actually hit the turbine, so that probably won't be a lot. But they can spread very, very quickly through the other areas, so that's probably the majority of why you're going to see a lot of the acreages there in Oklahoma, because they're going to try to contain it, but they're not going to be um, to the point where if it's going to burn, it's normally just like a normal wild burn. Uh, like they only you can see they only got like 3 contained in Oklahoma, and they only, like I said, they'll only try to contain them in like Osage County that I know of for sure if it's going to affect life, property, or home. Outside that, they normally let it do a natural burn because that's, like I said, all Indian or Native American land out there. So it's just the way life is. But I heard that they had some bigger ones also that were over in the northern part and over in the western part. And but those look like they'd probably already been contained and everything because I didn't see any of the major cities that I knew of that I heard from a couple of weeks ago.
Tyler says Colorado gets a lot of fires. Yeah, Tyler, unfortunately, Colorado is not on this list, so I don't know if they just don't have any that are. Well, I mean, South Dakota had. Well, no, South Dakota says 0. So I don't know if
Well,
Colorado maybe doesn't have any at the moment, or they're just not big enough for it to show up.
yeah, well, that's like Kansas. Kansas will do big, massive burns, but they are considered to be not wildfires, but controlled burns. So that may be something that's going on also in Colorado. They may be doing controlled burns, which look like they are wildfires, but they're truly not. Like if you drive between Wichita, Kansas, and Kansas City on Interstate 35, it literally says do not drive through thick smoke during burns. So yeah, it last year looks like the first 3 months of last year was really, really bad. But 2017 looks even worse. Which
Yeah, it gives you some year-to-date statistics, and looking back from last year, we've already had almost triple the amount of fires, but luckily not near as much acreage has been burnt.
yeah,
And then as Steve was saying, I mean, 2017, you look at it right at 13,000 fires, and it burnt over 2 million acres.
yeah. I'm assuming probably majority of those were probably gonna be in the California areas when the Santa Ana winds kicked in, because those are
Uh,
really, really hard to fight.
yeah, those boys up there, those boys over there have a hard time fighting those fires.
Yeah.
Even with the aircraft assistance that they do get, which they get quite a bit from what I've seen.
Hmm.
Um, Even with that, they still struggle to contain a lot of those fires. But yeah, that was one of mine that I wanted to share with everybody, just to kind of give you an idea of, what's going on in other parts of the country as far as wildfires go, since that seems to be a hot topic all over the country right now.
Yep. It's just crazy how those go and they can go be wild and take forever to put out too. Especially some people don't believe some of the tools they use to fight the grass fires and that. Shovels and brooms.
Oh
So
yeah.
much fun.
Yeah, I mean, we've had in the last month, we've had numerous high winds in our area. So we've had, burn bans, and we've had a lot of brush fires. And as soon as we get a call for a brush fire and it's more than 200 by 200 feet, they always call in forestry to bring out the bulldozers.
Yeah, not long before we started the podcast, I was sitting here at my desk and I could hear the wind howling outside. We've had a lot of issues with high winds, and then it being dry around here,
Mm-hmm.
they, high winds and dry conditions, that's just asking for trouble.
Yep.
So, Squad Production Act, so Los Angeles is on fire, but it has a whole ocean near it. Why are we not using the ocean water to put these fires out?
So, a big reason for not using ocean water to fight wildfires, I mean, they could and they can, but you look at what would be used most to pick up the ocean water to fight fires, and it's planes, helicopters. Ocean water can be, and correct me if I'm wrong, either one of you. Ocean water can be very corrosive. The salt in it can cause rust, uh, along with a bunch of other problems. And when you've got not only the aircraft, but the pilots, the people on the ground, when you've got those lives that you've got to keep in mind, along with trying to put out a fire, the last thing you want to do is put something in those aircraft or even the engines, the tankers that are transporting water for guys on the ground. The last thing you want to do is put something that could cause harm to a pump or a tank inside of that equipment. Because then that equipment goes down. Well, now you've just lost uh, essential equipment to helping you combat those fires.
It's not just that too. It's also dealing with waves and all that. They need calm water to be able to pick it up with an aircraft. If it's too wavy in that, they cannot, because it's not safe for them to even try. Because you get a big wave while they're trying to pick it up and try to go up, because they gotta do it quickly, because it can actually take them down with them. They don't do it properly, so they need a calmer water than what the ocean can give you sometimes.
So, just for an example, there's actually a um, crew. I do believe they're in the mountains of North Carolina fighting fires. But they fly a Chinook. It's got a 2,300 gallon tank on the interior of the Chinook, and then it's got I think it's a 10 or 12-foot hose that comes out of the Chinook and down, which they use to pick up the water as well as dump it. Um, I mean, you take that same aircraft, even it being a Chinook, as big as they are, as tough as they are, out in the ocean, and the first 10 or 12-foot wave that the pilot's not prepared for, well, now you've just lost that aircraft and the crew on board.
Yep.
Well, not only that, but you got to worry about the wildlife also. That it's gonna be sucking up and getting jammed up in there too. Because I mean, there's fish everywhere within the ocean. If you're pulling from a lake or whatever, if you're gonna be bringing something in like that, since something plops in the water in a lake, they're gonna scatter, and you're gonna have a less chance of picking up wildlife also.
And I know they have picked up from people's swimming pools before when they,
Mhm.
if they really had to, but because it's more safer than trying to get it from the ocean. And depending also too, how close are they really to the fire from the ocean? If that ocean's way too far from that fire, they're not going to want to go that direction. They want to get the water close as possible too.
Well, I think part of that question pulled in from the Palestine fires that they had out there, because all of that area that burned out there in California and that big one, where they were coming back and saying all the celebrities' homes were burned and everything else like that. That was like literally right on the ocean, and they weren't pulling the water from the ocean to fight that fire. They were pulling it from freshwater sources. And that goes back to what Tater was saying. It's not because they don't want to pull that water, it's for the safety and the equipment, because
Yep.
after they got done using that equipment, they're gonna have to go in. They're gonna have to flush everything. They're gonna have to flush it 2 or 3 times just to make sure
To
that
get all
there's
that
no
salt out
salt
of
in
there.
there.
And to add to that, just so everyone watching knows, they have been known to pull out of residential swimming pools if they have to.
Hmm.
Yep.
A Black Hawk or a smaller, I guess they use, what is it, Boogie Steve, Bale
Yeah.
Rangers, or
Yeah, I've seen Huey's. I know Cal Fire has Huey's. I think they have one or two Bales also, so they've got
Black
enough.
Hawks.
Yeah, they've got almost every type of helicopter known to man that can actually do it.
So
Yep.
if you do live in California and you see a helicopter, show up in your backyard dipping water out of your swimming pool, you know why.
Yep.
Yep.
And they're not gonna ask you for permission. They're gonna just do it.
Oh yeah. Yep.
So you might get mad, yes, but fortunately they'll keep the information where they got it, and they will mostly reimburse you for that too, because they know it's going to cost you money to refill that pool up with water again.
Yeah, because I mean it's better to pull from a clean source than it is a dirty source, which is what they call a dry pump up here.
Yep. So that was a good question, though, Miss Squad.
Very good.
So
How you doing, Nick? Good to have you, buddy.
welcome, welcome.
So, real quick, Timmy had a question for me, and I think it's kind of funny. He said, so since we've heard Boogie reminiscence about sweeping grass, he wants to know, did I ever get the joy of mopping rain off of a Command Sergeant Major's parking spot? I don't know. Apparently, Boogie got that. I don't know how many of you will, but no, Timmy, I never had to do that. Now, when I first got to my unit, I was sent to get a Prick E6 radio. And I learned real quick you don't go up to an E6 and ask him for a Prick E6 radio. That does not turn out well for you at all. But no, I never had to mop the rain off of a Sergeant Major's parking spot. Now that you say that, I'm gonna go back to school Monday and ask my Sergeant Major if next time it rains he wants me to mop his parking spot. Our
that
our head ROTC instructor at the school I work for is a Sergeant Major, so
then you're gonna have to come back and let us know his response.
Well, when you're done there, why don't you just run down to the ag department and ask them to swap the battery cables so that way their heater core will change over to air conditioning.
I seen that on Facebook today.
Yeah, I posted it in the squad Discord for you too.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's where I see squad disco. And I told my wife about it, and she's like, really, babe? She's like, you're talking to the wrong person.
My ag
So
instructor
Chuck,
would have got a good kick out of that one because he knows I would have done something to him like that.
said he did, and also removed, count, and replace all the rocks around their barracks.
Chuck, you were a very gullible person in the military, weren't you? Did you ever get sent to look for a box of grid squares?
So, all right, he might want to wait for his chance to be a guest on Tater and a Beer for these answers.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, you never know. We might pull you into one of ours and then let him go have some fun with you.
That too.
Drill sergeant said you had to.
And I'm getting yelled at by squad for keep calling him Chuck. That's Timmy. Oh, all right. So
You know, Timmy, there is such thing as no drill sergeant. You know that, right?
all right, he's gonna save him. He has a couple more, but he's gonna save
that's
them
saved
for.
those.
So, all right, let's go to our next one that I actually found It's not a good outcome for a teacher because what a teacher did was shoot at a Baltimore police officer, and we do have a lovely video of it for you to watch. What happened to it? Where did it go? Hold on. There it is. I'll start playing as soon as everybody's ready.
Yeah.
So, all right. You ready, Tater?
Yep.
We learned
All right.
today that Andrew Britt is still recovering at shock trauma following this shooting. In the meantime, we've been looking into his history. Today, we learned not only that he is a teacher, but that this man has a criminal history.
They hear about a teacher shooting someone, an officer at that, they get what they get. Nobody's above the law.
Baltimore City Schools confirms for 11 News 27-year-old Andrew Britt is an educator. His name remains listed on Liberty Elementary School's staff roster. Hired in 2022, he is now on leave. Britt is charged with first-degree attempted murder of a police officer. New charging documents reveal he had been inside the Catonsville Police Precinct last Thursday before walking out to the parking lot and shooting an officer who was putting gas into his police vehicle. Quote, produced a handgun from his waistband area, pointed it at the officer, and fired at him. 2 officers joined the original officer in returning fire. Britt was shot and collapsed to the ground.
I definitely have feelings about that because that could have been my son, my nephew that was a police officer, or anybody in that situation.
11 News has learned Britt was prohibited from carrying a gun. His record shows a previous criminal conviction for having a loaded handgun in a vehicle back in 2021. Over the weekend, the injured officer got out of shock trauma, surrounded by support.
I am glad that he is alive, and I pray that Allah will bless him and his family, and whoever did the wrong, may they get justice. Period.
Now, again, like we said, he does have a criminal history, and that was before he got hired at city schools. The school district sent us a statement just moments ago to the WBAL team. I'm just going to read you part of it. It says, after reviewing Mr. Britt's background check, we determined that it did not warrant disqualification from employment. We believe in assessing individuals based on their qualifications, experience, and ability to contribute positively to our team. And I also want to read this part. It says, in part, we also acknowledge the seriousness of the charges against Mr. Britt and are collaborating with law enforcement. Now, there's a full statement on WBALTV.com. You can find it there. Now, his bond review will be rescheduled. He has a preliminary hearing set for April 11th. We'll keep you updated. For now, live in Towson, I'm Tommy Clark, WBAL TV 11 News.
That's just crazy how he was inside the police department before he even shot anybody. And what were the motives in the shooting? I don't know, Timmy, what the main motives are.
Yeah, I don't think they actually hit what the motive was for it. I mean, it could have been anything that kind of sparked him off. I mean, maybe he was upset at, the sky being blue. It's hard to say because they didn't say. And I mean, being on the school, I mean, the school should have, dug a little deeper, knowing he had a firearm, to begin with. That's one thing I feel, they had a problem with right there because that should have came up with any background check. Then moving on to, uh, finding the officer in question and going after him. I don't know. Hopefully they'll be able to dig that out in discovery and the preliminaries when he goes to court.
My question is Baltimore. That's a big city. You would think
Well, Baltimore,
him entering the police station with a weapon would have been, somebody metal detector or something would have picked it up.
yeah,
Because I feel like a city like Baltimore, their PDs would have metal detectors when you walked in the door.
you would think, but I don't know. I've only been to Baltimore maybe 2 or 3 times as I just drive through, get the hell out of it as quick as possible. Um, you know, I just don't want to stick around. I mean, they at the end they said they were in Towson, so I mean Towson is a suburb where like a college is one of the main college areas over there. It's like a little sleepy suburb. So I don't know if they were downtown Baltimore or if they were over by the port where it happened. So I can't really say for sure because I'm not that familiar with the Baltimore area.
And Tommy Flyby says most schools have guards, so teachers aren't searched either, just the kids. And he said, "My bad, I thought this happened at school." No, Tommy, this actually happened at a Baltimore police station. But you are right. Most schools in the country now have what they call SROs, school resource officers.
Hmm.
And I know at our school, and where my wife teaches, they do have metal detectors at the doors. And I walk through a metal detector a few times a day coming in and out of the building. So, yeah, the schools do have ways to prevent stuff like this, but it's like with anything else. You're not gonna catch everybody.
Yeah,
It's
all right,
kind
I got another
it's kind
video on more on it.
it's kind of like our school up here. I mean, I went into one of our schools because we have an educator in the house, and they were moving from one school to another, so I had to go move the stuff literally from the school to the truck to the new location. And these just walking into ours was like hard to do. It's like almost going through a Sally port just to get in when the school is after hours and everything else. And I mean, it was like nothing but solid brick and zero windows. It's like, oh man, this doesn't give you the nice warm fuzzy vibes anymore like it was when I was in school.
Yeah. When I went, schools here, they always middle school and high school had a liaison officer at all times. So, but you ready for this other one? It's going to give more information on it.
Yep.
Learned the man charged with shooting a Baltimore County police officer is a Baltimore City Public Schools teacher. A city school spokesperson confirms 27-year-old Andrew Britt teaches at Liberty Elementary School. He was hired back in 2022.
Britt, who is currently on leave, facing attempted first-degree murder charges, among others, from last week's shooting. Casey Baylor live tonight on your corner in Towson's District Courthouse. And Casey, Britt was supposed to appear in court this afternoon, but what happened?
Well, the Baltimore County State's Attorney's Office says his bond hearing had to be postponed because he's still in the hospital. We are still working to learn when that hearing will be rescheduled. But in the meantime, we picked up some newly filed charging documents revealing the moments leading up to that shooting, which was all captured on surveillance cameras at the precinct.
It was very clear that this was premeditated.
Charging documents say Andrew Britt walked into the Wilkins precinct lobby and spoke with the desk officer through a glass window. Minutes later, he walked to the parking lot and started speaking to a police officer pumping gas. Britt then pulled out a gun and shot at the officer. Documents say the officer took cover behind a parked car and fired back. Two other officers nearby drew their weapons toward Britt. Paperwork says Britt walked toward all three officers onto a grassy hill, shot one officer, and then pointed his gun at another before he was shot. The officer suffered a gunshot wound to the abdomen. Britt was shot in his legs. Both went to the hospital in critical condition, where Britt still remains. On Sunday, the injured officer was released from the University of Maryland Shock Trauma.
We're also grateful to the University of Maryland Shock Trauma and Dr. Scalia for taking great care of our officer. And as you see, the tremendous care that they provided him, he's gone home in 4 days.
Charging documents say an investigator found several gun cartridge casings at the scene. Officials found Britt's gun, which had 3 spent casings and 3 live rounds of ammunition. Again, we do know Britt is a teacher with City Schools. City Schools did send us a statement saying they understand the seriousness of the charges against Britt and they are collaborating with law enforcement. Reporting live on your corner in Towson, I'm Casey Baylor for WJZ.
Casey, thank you.
Thanks to Elite.
Okay, so that kind of cleared it up a little bit. It was not inside the station; it was outside the station as he was pumping gas.
Yeah, well, he did talk to somebody through a window, they said,
Right.
inside. Then he went outside, talked to the officer that was pumping gas, and then he pulled his gun out and shot.
I thought they said that he went to his car and got his gun, then did the shooting at that point. So I don't think he ever took the gun inside the actual building.
No, on that article in there, it said he took it out of his waistband. He had it there.
Okay. So
Well, it sounds like he planned on shooting an officer that day. Why?
Yeah.
Don't know.
If they're saying it's premeditated, then yeah, he had a mission for some reason.
Yep.
Yeah, from the two videos that we just watched, I got that feeling that it was premeditated. He went there that day with the intentions of shooting a cop.
Yep.
And I mean, it could just be that he wanted to try to do death by suicide too, or cop suicide. You never know. I mean, it might just gone wrong both ways to Sunday.
I would love to know what his thought process was, or what led up to him wanting to go in there and either shoot a cop or, as Decoy said, commit suicide by cop. What was going on either in his head or in his life that made him want to choose that particular path?
Yeah, those are the ones that truly baffle me. It's like why would somebody want to do this? I mean, I get it. There are people out there that struggle with the mental beast, um, and I wish that they would get help. Some friends I do know have gotten good help. They know how to control it. They know what to look for. They know how to cry out. They know how to get the help that they need when they need to get it. But going in to the police department and doing that just makes me wonder if he was just trying to do the suicide by cop. That's the only thing I can truly think of, unless he had a beef with one particular officer and he thought he could get to that officer directly from the front desk, which the front desk will pretty much protect all their officers if they detect any type of hostility or whatever. And they can detect that quickly by looking at body motion, tone of voice, anything down that line. And since he got denied at the front desk, he went outside, saw the first person he saw pumping gas, and decided, "Yep, that you're it."
Yeah.
And what's weird about it is he went up and was talking to that officer before he, pulled the gun and decided and started shooting. He actually made conversation with the officer.
Yeah.
Maybe it's something that officer said he didn't really like. Says, "Well, you're gonna be my victim."
Yeah, well, I mean, the
But
officer was
who
pumping
knows?
gas, so he could have been in a restricted area too. And then the officer told him, said, "Hey, you need to, move out, go behind a fence or whatever, because normally the back lots of a police department or whatever say for authorized vehicles and authorized access only. That's like the way it is up here behind the state police barracks. I mean, I can pull directly in, but there's a sign that says keep out authorized vehicles, authorized personnel only. If I go in there, I'm in a world of hurt.
You're you're trespassing at that point.
Yeah.
So
Because I mean, like around here, I mean, you can roll right up to the sheriff's department, but like Steve said, there's about halfway back of the building itself, there's fences and gates that big old signs that say authorized personnel only, no trespassing.
Yep.
So I mean, if you just so happen to, follow a cop car back there and get caught, then, it's one of two things are going to happen. You go into jail or they're going to ask you to leave. Well, tell you to leave.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little different here because our police department is connected to the city hall, so their parking is also parking to go to city hall. So fortunately, you're allowed to go park where they're at here. So
Different
You ready
everywhere you go.
Yep.
yep. So you ready for our next lovely topic?
Let's get after it.
All right. So our next one is evolving in our police department. Authorities are investigating officer involved shooting in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina.
Ooh, that hits
So,
close to home.
yep. We have in our video for this one too. Everybody ready?
Yep.
Yep.
Good evening. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Brendan Clark.
Good evening, everyone. We are glad you're watching. I'm Carolyn Murray. Right now, authorities are investigating after an officer-involved shooting happened in Mount Pleasant.
News 2's Emma Charles spoke to witnesses who saw what happened as they were driving through the parking lot, the scene of that incident. Emma.
Brendan, Carolyn, around 5 this afternoon, officers responded to reports of indecent exposure. Witnesses say they then saw the suspect stab the officer, in which the officer then shot the suspect.
Cooper Wright was driving with his brother from Melvin's when they saw the scene unfold before them.
There was a man and a police officer on the side of the road, and all of a sudden the suspect lurched on top of the police officer, tackled him to the ground. The police officer then got slammed to the ground on his face. Blood was pouring down his face, and the suspect ran around the front of the police car. The police officer ran around the back, tackled him again, threw him to the ground, reached his hand to his holster, pulled out his pistol, and then fired. And there was a pause for about 2 seconds, and they fired about 4 more shots at him.
Witnesses told us the Mount Pleasant police officer was stabbed in the lower stomach area when the suspect was then shot. They were both treated for non-life-threatening injuries and taken to a nearby hospital.
He got taken away, and then the police officer, he was treated on the ground for about 20-30 minutes, and then he was taken out.
Other people in the area heard gunshots.
Initially, I was facing inside the salon, although from my left ear, I did hear 5 shots go off. And that's when I directed my attention over there across the parking lot, and I did see a police officer with a gun drawn kind of down, just like that.
Mount Pleasant police say SLED is now taking over the investigation.
The South Carolina Law Enforcement Division has been requested to conduct the investigation. As this is now a SLED investigation, we will not be answering any questions at this time.
Cooper Wright and his brother said they are doing all right after witnessing the incident.
I feel terrible for the officer. I'm glad he's okay. I'm pretty sure he's okay. But no, I'm fine.
This is a developing story, and we will keep you updated here at News 2 on air and online. In Mount Pleasant, I'm Emma Charles. Count on 2.
Rule number 1, never take a knife to a gunfight.
You'll never win.
Yeah. Now, unfortunately, the officer was probably wearing a vest. I don't know what type of vest he was wearing. Hopefully it was Kevlar and it would have some sort of puncture resistance to it. But not knowing where he was stabbed, it's hard to say. I mean,
They just said he got stabbed in the abdomen area.
abdomen? Okay,
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean that's gonna be a very well unprotected area. But yeah,
Because it in the little article it says the officer received some stabbing wounds.
okay.
So
Yeah, so you get about, depending on what type of vest you have, if it's got crotch protector built into it or not, it could be a gap of anywhere between 1 to 3 inches. So you have that between your duty belt and the other, because your duty belt's gonna be hard enough; it'll kind of deflect. But it can deflect it up, or it can deflect it down into your thigh too. So that's something you got to take into consideration also. So
Yeah.
he might have hit the duty belt, and it could have reflected up and then went up under the vest also.
So, we got a question here for you from our chat, real quick here. Have you ever been in a situation that dealt with pulling over a cop, or a situation with a cop? And if not, have you heard of a cop being charged of a crime in your local area?
Actually, we just had 2 officers from our local jurisdiction. One was arrested in Virginia, and the other one was arrested in the county to our south, both for DWI. So our sheriff department up here is very transparent, and they let everybody know that if the officers do wrong on duty or off duty, they let the public know.
All right. Tater, you want to start off our last topic that we have? Or do you want me to?
So you're gonna have to help me out with this. I read it and looked into it. So the last one is our St. Joseph Orphanage Center in Arkansas. It caught on fire. Hold on, I'll share my screen so everybody can see what I'm looking at here. So it was in Little Rock, in Arkansas. There we go, so everybody can see.
Yep. We didn't see the picture, but we're seeing the article.
Okay, hold on, I'll scroll back up. So there's the actual image that it shows. St. Joseph Center of Arkansas in North Little Rock. It's a century-old building. Hold on just a minute. I'm trying to get to. Maybe it was in
Which
one of
one
the
did
other
you
ones.
which one did you click on? Oh, you're on the same one.
I
So
clicked on the first one. Hold on.
if you clicked on the first one, that's the very first one you should go over. So firefighters were working on a fire that was in St. Joe's Center that's called right now on Wednesday evening, a week ago from yesterday. In North Little Rock. So call just came in about 5 p.m. about smoke coming from the building. They were just closing it up. Firefighters arrived to fire, and smoke was showing from the attic, they said. Williams said the departments began fighting the fire from the building interior, but when the fire vented and the wind continued to assist the fire, call was made to pull every personnel out because with the high winds they were having that day, made it very unsafe for any firefighters being, because whatever they try to do, that one was just backfiring really bad, so they couldn't really fight. The fire eventually really resulted in the collapse of the roof, which was made of heavy timber, so it's going to burn real easy. And once the fire progressed, it made it to the chapel area as well. When the decision was made to pull all units, Williams said it's paramount to get as much water as possible on the structure. He said it's going to be a marathon. Definitely, it was not a sprint, I can promise you. But approximately it was 35 were battling the blaze. So it was a lot.
That's
Yeah, 30 firefighters is quite a bit to battle a blaze.
And this,
That kind of reminds me of when the large seminary over in Alexandria, Virginia, caught fire about 10 years ago.
hold on, Terry, go back to that last article, please. Scroll all the way up where the picture is on the very top. There should be 2 arrows on the right hand side of those pictures. Up, up,
Yeah,
up,
up at the top.
Hit that, and then you can scroll through and you can see all the pictures for how bad that fire was.
So I'll scroll through them. I'll give each one a second just so everybody can get a good, a look at them.
So looking at these pictures, it looks like majority of it was up on the third and the Catskills, up in the roof section of it.
And unfortunately, it took a lot.
Yeah. Now see, to me, that looks like that used to be like a church or something at that point. So it's like an open auditorium. So that's gonna sustain a lot of damage there. And this is the one that reminded this picture here is the one that makes reminded me when the seminary over in Alexandria. I mean, this is the big, huge uh, Methodist seminary literally caught on fire.
So my thing is with a building that old, and we'll get into this at a later date. I'll pull it all up on a later podcast. Um, but we had a school burn here in our county. With that building being as old as it is, I wonder if it had a tar roof on it, or if it had a shingle roof. Being with its age.
So being interesting, because that roof that was put on there is very new. They just got done the day before this fire happened. They just got done repairing that roof from a fire in 2023. Because they had a minor little fire on the roof in 2023, and they just completed repairing it on last week Tuesday, and it went up in flames the very next day.
So why did it take them 2 years to repair the roof for a fire?
This is a everything is by donations. They're charity based. It's not a business, it's all charity. So whatever money they're given is what they gotta play with. So they couldn't really afford to get it done real quick, I guess. So
Okay, because see, this is where I'm thinking more down the lines of the LEO investigations and stuff like this, what a fire marshal would be kind of thinking. It's like, so was the fire in the same area that the original fire was in, or was it in a different part of the building and it spread to where the other fire was?
they don't know how it started yet. They didn't see how it started yet, but they do believe it started in the attic. And it just went. But they don't know how yet. They didn't say determine what caused it. But it's just interesting how they just got done repairing it the day before.
Right, that's
and
why
it
I'm
went
wondering
up.
if it's the same area of the roof there, or if it's a different part that was not affected by the small fire from 2003 or 2023.
2020. Yeah.
Right. So I don't know if it's in the same area or not that the fire started and the fire spread, or if it happened to be in the same spot. Makes me wonder if there was knob and tube wiring in that area of it, which knob and tube is great insulation for wiring. Does not meet code anymore, but if it's in place, you can leave it normally, because it's air gap, air insulated. It's really really stable, unless the circuits or the wires get overloaded and the wires get really really hot, or if any of the insulation around the wire falls off and you have bare wire, then that's when it really becomes a fire hazard, because dust and other items in an attic have been known to accumulate
Yeah.
and start fires that way. That's why it's been removed. But normally knob and tube uh, can be left unless there's remodeling going on. Then at that point, it has to be pulled out and put in with the Nomex wiring at that point for the right gauge for whatever you're going to be running on your circuit.
Yeah. To answer Timmy's question, they probably did have insurance, but it probably took them a while to get that claim settled so they could move forward on getting it fixed and all that, and then try and find the right contractor because it is a historic building. So you got to try to find the right one that's not going to really try to change up the structure just to get it fixed in there. So, because it being a 115 years old building, well, it was 113 years old by the when they probably started working on it. So it takes a matter of all that stuff going through before they could even start it, too. But they would have to still come down with what's it called? Oh, can't think what it's called right now. Dang it. On the deductible. They probably needed the money for deductible because all that stuff. So
I don't know about Arkansas, but this being what I would consider a historic building, I do know there are certain cities and even the state has rules on what you can do with certain historic buildings when it comes to repairs or remodels. There's rules and regulations you have to follow when you do that in order to preserve the building's historic heritage or historic past. So if you go to say you have a fire and you go to put, you know, a new roof on it or fix the inside of it up, there are certain rules and regulations and codes you have to abide by when you do that because it is considered a historic landmark. So maybe that could have been something that a reason why it took them so long to repair the roof in the beginning was, you know, it's a historic landmark and there may have been regulations or rules that they had to abide by before they could start the repairs.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
yeah.
But I'm just kind of curious on that. I mean, that like I said, that was just the investigation side of me thinking. Well, it's only
Yeah.
well, it's on a National Register of Historic Places, but unfortunately, that doesn't account to a lot uh, because there's a lot of places that were on the National Historic or Register of Historic Places that have still been bulldozed. Uh, the the protection that it was meant to give to places, they've found out that in order to actually give that what it needs, the federal government needs to buy it and own it, control it, and put it in the National Park Service. And of course, they don't want to do that.
So so this place was designed by renowned architect Charles Thompson and was completed in 1910. It was a 56,000 square foot building that sat on 63 acres and had been farmed for more than a century. Um, it's on the National Register of Historic Places, which again, there could have been laws and rules which
Yep.
could have prolonged them fixing it. St. Joseph's is also a designated Arkansas Department of Agriculture Century Farm established in 1907. Over the years, St. Joseph served as an orphanage, school, nursing home, daycare, and retreat center run by Benedictine Sisters of St. Scholastica. In 2008, the Diocese of Little Rock announced that St. Joseph's was closing and the property would be sold. This news prompted the creation of what it's known now as St. Joseph's Center of Arkansas. In 2010, SJCA signed a 50-year lease and assumed all physical and management responsibilities for the property. So it's been around since, well, long before World War One.
Yeah, 1907 established.
It was
1910.
built. It was built in 1910. The original
Yeah.
building was completed in 1910.
Yep.
Which it shows a picture here of what the original building
Yes.
looked like. I think
So-
you had more on there, didn't you?
Yeah, I have more. I'll share my screen for this one.
All right.
So we have a little timeline on it. So on October 23rd, 1917, Hotel Bulma opens for services. I don't know. That's just part of it. In October 25, 1918, the flu caused a Camp Pike. Supposed to be a thing, but all right. So it changed on me. Oh, I don't know why.
Let's just say Belmont timeline.
Yeah, this is the
Yeah, no.
Belmont.
All right. Oh, all right. Don't know what. All right. So don't have any more on that then. That part. Don't know why I did that.
I was gonna say Camp Pike. That sounded a little different. It sounded more like military or something at that point.
Yep. But the last part, I watched the little videos that they are looking to rebuild, or hopefully they can save enough because looks like a lot of exterior walls are still intact that they could possibly just rebuild it from what needs to be repaired on it and replaced.
Yeah, hopefully the water damage isn't too much. Because, like I said, if it's up in the upper and they're shooting water in there, then you're gonna have a lot of water damage. You're gonna have mold and everything else. So a lot of that's going to have to be stripped out. Because if they have
They
30
did find
firefighters running,
they did find a closet where they kept all their linens and all that, still in contact with no damage or nothing inside. So there are some rooms that are not destroyed.
okay, well that's
Or
good.
that. So they still investigating. They had the next day. They said they were having investigators and that coming in to assess the building to see if it's even advisable to save the building. So I will try. I'm going to keep watch on the progress of this, and hopefully we can bring up more information on this because it's a major thing that went down in Arkansas. So it's just a shame it was an orphanage, and then they changed it to a center for a lot of people. So, but thank God no one was injured in it or nothing, no injuries. Everybody made it out. No animals got hurt. They all made it out their areas. So that's a good thing there,
Yep.
at least. Because they were closing up when they started smelling the smoke. So maybe that's one blessing that there was really no one in it when it started. They were all closing up and about to leave for the day. So
Yeah, it's always good if there's nobody inside when something like that happens.
yeah.
Yep.
So Tommy's So the government of California cut the insurance and cut money from firefighters, and you saw what all happened there. So that's another tragedy. I think it's crazy how you have all these wildfires going on in California, and you have your government there saying, no, you're going to get no insurance to help with your loss of your houses, and cut the pay of the firefighters that are fighting those fires. Because they're risking their lives and taking their time out of the day to sit there and fight all those fires, and then end up not getting all that money for it. So
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're gonna cut insurance and money for the people that are risking their lives to save others and yourself in certain situations.
Yep. I just hope it's a wake up call to these California people and start voting these people out and getting the proper people in to help their state. Because if they're going to be like that, they're not going to do you any good. That just shows how greedy and how terrible they are.
And I hate to say this, but I mean it goes the same with the people saying defund the police. They're hollering defund the police, but when their house gets broken into or somebody robs them, what's the first thing they do?
Call the police.
Who's the first people they're hollering for? I need a cop. I need a police officer. You know, I mean, you're contradicting yourself there.
Oh yeah. And you see it
So,
every day.
so at this point, what we like to do, Decoy, is we like to get your thoughts on a topic. Um, as you can see, me and Boogie have covered ours. So at this point, we'd like to give you a chance to share a topic if you've got one and kind of talk about it. And
Well, I'm kind of in the same. You all know who Ryan Hall is, right?
Yep.
Weather meteorologist on YouTube.
Mhm.
Does a damn good job of getting severe weather warnings out to anybody and everybody. First of all, I want to give him a shout out for saving lives as much as possible, which we've actually seen with Rolling Fork, Mississippi, with last year's tornado that literally did a lot of damage. It was like an F5 tornado that rolled through after midnight, totally destroyed the town. Um, I want to help him a little bit by sharing that there's a lot of going on with the National Weather Service this year. Budget cuts left and right. We've already seen that weather balloons have been going from 2 launches to 1 launch to some that were doing 1 launch to no launches now. Um, Still want to try to help get the word out that Dixie Alley, uh, down in Louisiana, southern part of Arkansas, Alabama, some of Tennessee, those areas still need next grad radar in a bad way. They are very cut thin. You can't really see too well what the storms are doing or anything like that. It's like this is where we don't need the budget cuts. We need to have better infrastructure put in because there are too many people that live down there. Tornado Alley's moving from the plains down to Dixie Alley, and they need to get better work down there. There's even places in Texas that have bad radar coverage, and they base it on where how many people were living at one particular time. Well, these numbers change. They change every 10 years. It's called a census. Use that information, build up your infrastructure. We pay enough in, taxes and everything else that we should have enough to make sure that all lives are protected when it comes to severe weather. There's no excuse for it now. We need to get the word out and try to get more people on board to get better weather radar for people all over the place.
Well said, sir. Well said. Yeah, it's one of those things to where, especially with tornadoes. I mean, I know with hurricanes, Steve. I'm sure you know. Um, Boogie, aren't you out towards the middle of the country?
I'm in Wisconsin, so it's
Yeah,
like the middle top
yeah.
part of the country.
I know with hurricanes, Steve. You know, we get what week, couple weeks notice with
Oh yeah,
hurricanes.
easily.
Um, and even still, with that much notice, I mean, some of these hurricanes, you're not prepared for the damage and the chaos that ensues. And with tornadoes, it's even worse because a lot of these people are getting seconds worth of warning, not weeks, not days, not minutes. They're getting seconds to where
Yes.
they get the warning, and the time they get the warning, you've got a tornado ripping the roof off your house or taking your house completely out from over you. Um, so any help that these people can get to help them be better prepared, to give them, more warning, so if one does touch down, they can be better prepared for it and not be, hey, there's a tornado, and then, oh crap, well, the tornado's already taken half my house off.
Yes.
Any help that those people can get to get the warning they need to save themselves and family members and pets. I mean, we need to get it to them, some way, shape, form, or fashion. Um, and, and I think that's where our government could, help out a little bit more. There, it seems people are too worried about helping themselves and not other people.
Yeah, I mean they have enough spare parts right now. The National Weather Service, NOAA, has enough spare parts right now to build at least 3 new radar sites. And that's just the actual radar, the dome, everything. But I understand that's in case a radar breaks. So, I mean, if you got that already in a stockpile, I mean, that's great. You're doing these also, you're also taking radars down for 30 to 45 days to replace the pedestal. Well, if you're replacing the pedestal, what are you doing with the old one? Are you going to refurbish it? Are you going to for the next site, or are you scrapping it? What's happening with they don't really say what's going on when they're doing these refurbishments or nothing, but they're saying, oh, this area is going to be down for 30 to 45 days. Well, that's great. That's a month of no radar service that you're hoping that a radar site is going to be close enough that you can see and you're not going to create a bigger void in case severe weather happens. Um, I don't think that they're doing any right now for the next month or two because we're getting ready to roll right into severe. Well, actually, we've been in severe weather mode now um, since the beginning of March. Uh, we've already had 2 PDS tornado watches, and I forgot how many tornado emergencies, which is the highest level warning you can actually give for a tornado. That normally means that a destructive tornado is heading to a major population area. So,
So, so when they do these refurbishments of these radar sites, are they refurbishing them because there's something wrong with them, or are they just refurbishing them to update them? Because if they're just refurbishing them to update them, why can't they take those parts that they're pulling off to update and move them to a different location and set up another site, and then once you get the parts, go ahead and update that site that you just set up from refurbished parts?
okay, because no, what it is the next most of the next rads were only when they were upgraded to the WS8 88 units. They were only forecasted to be in operation for 20 to 22 years, I believe. And that's due to the stress of the actual dome rotating on the actual pedestal and other metal fatigues and everything else. So they're replacing the actual pedestal, not the actual radar itself, and the actual unit that rotates the dish between your different tilts. You got 4 different tilts. You got 1, 2, 3, 4. That they can actually run on the cycles all the way around, so I can actually cut different layers of the atmosphere when they're doing their sweeps. It's that pedestal is at its end of life because these radars were not expected to go more than 22 years before something else was going to be brought into an existence to where it was there. So they had to replace these pedestals. But yeah, I understand there might be metal fatigue or whatever, but they can still do metal tests and everything else. And I mean, something's better than nothing. Um, or use these areas that don't have radar sites instead of pulling like Oklahoma City's offline and putting a new radar in to test there. Put it in an area that doesn't have any at all. Use that as a test bed. You know, uh, everything runs out of Norman, Oklahoma. I get it. I truly get it. The first tornado warning happened literally 15 miles from OU campus at Tinker Air Force Base. So I get why everything's done there. I know why the SSL and Storm Protection Center, everything is located at Oklahoma University on their campus. They want the sharpest minds. They want them to be available 24, hours a day, 7 days a week when severe weather happens. They want to, between Oklahoma University and MIT, uh, those are the only 2 weather schools that that the National Weather Service really pulls from. Uh, I myself, I would probably prefer to go to MIT because, I've never been a Sooner fan. That's my personal opinion. But I get why everything is done there. They got the test bed, they have the research, they have everything else. But that's great. You can still be able to see everything that's going on from that radar site remotely. You don't have to physically be there. Put it out there, forget about it, let it do its thing, whatever you're doing with it, and then just go through, do everything back there at the college and university.
Yeah, I'm learning this weather stuff now, especially um, since I've started flight school. You have to learn quite a bit about the weather because it dictates whether or not you can fly.
Oh yeah.
So I'm learning a lot about that. Having to learn a lot about that now. How to read the weather maps and how to read the radars, and yeah, it's a lot more complicated than what your average person sees on WeatherBug or the Weather Services uh, app. It goes a lot more in depth. Uh, from our comments, I'm gonna use his name because I don't feel like saying his YouTube tag. Hunter, shout out to those who experience being caught up in natural disasters as well as the first responders in those situations. Heart goes out to all involved. Amen, brother.
Yep.
Our hearts go
Amen.
out to those
Yep.
affected.
Amen.
Our heart goes out to those affected by them and those first responders that are responding to those that have been affected by them. Neither are in a safe place.
No, they're not.
Of course, the people being affected, they have to deal with the natural disaster as it's happening, and then the first responders that come in afterwards, rescuing those people. It's just as dangerous for one as it is the other. And our hearts and prayers go out to all of them that have been or are being affected by natural disaster. We hope the best for all of you, and we pray that you get through it and you get
Amen.
through it alive, and hopefully it makes you a stronger person in the end.
Yep. So I do have one question for Tommy Flyboy there. Where do you see that California law? Because everything I just looked up says that there's a stand your ground law that you can actually defend yourself in your own home. And you can also use lethal force if you feel your life or anybody in your family's life is threatened at any point. So I don't see where I could find where it says if your home's being robbed, you have to leave your home and now protect yourself.
Yeah.
Everything I find is saying that other way around, that they're a stand your ground and you can protect yourself.
Yeah, we were always told, shoot them, drag them in the house when we were growing up.
Yep. And when I was taking my concealed carry course, the person I was doing the class was an officer. He says if you end up having to shoot somebody, don't just shoot them directly in the head because they can't sue you then. Because here in the state of Wisconsin, you can shoot them and you hurt them. Even though you use self-defense and you're found innocent of that, the family can still shoot you for wrongfully shooting them.
Yep.
So in California, they have the castle doctrine, embodied in Penal Code 198.5, allows residents to use force, even deadly force, to defend themselves against an intruder in their home without a duty to retreat if they reasonably fear imminent harm.
All right. So Tommy came back. Apparently, they were trying to pass a law that took stand your ground away, but I guess they didn't. That didn't pass. I guess. I think that'd be a stupid thing because it's well. I mean, if you don't have a way out and they have you blocked in, what are you supposed to do then? You're supposed to leave.
North Carolina's only law is if you have all right to protect your property and life, just don't shoot them in the back.
Yep. Same here.
Yep.
If you shoot them in the back and kill them, it's murder. If they're breaking into your house and you fear for your life and they're trying to pry your door open and you shoot through the door and shoot them in the chest, and it's self-defense.
Yep.
You don't have to wait until they get in your home. If they're busting a window or got a pry bar to your door and they're prying it open and you shoot through the door or you shoot them as they're trying to come in the window, as long as you can prove that you feared for your life, then
There's a video on YouTube just of that. This girl broke up with this guy. He was trying to get in their house. He was told multiple times to go away. He was trying to break in, and the dad ended up just shooting him through the door. And it ended up killing him too. So, but yeah, it's something I believe no one really wants to do, especially if you're a law-abiding citizen, having to shoot somebody to defend yourself or that. You just hope it doesn't come. I don't hope it happens to me. I don't want to shoot somebody, but if it comes down to my life or my family's life, I will protect my family.
I mean, I've got guns in my house. I've got them locked up in my safe, and there's a gun on my side of the bed as well as one on my wife's side of the bed. All our guns in this house are used for hunting and Thanksgiving when the whole family gets together on the farm and we just get out there and cut loose, and we have fun shooting targets, shooting jugs, shooting bottles, shooting whatever
Yep.
we can shoot. I mean, I didn't buy any of my guns with the intent of having to use one for any reason other than hunting or, you know,
Entertainment.
recreational purpose, entertainment and recreation. But that being said, if you come through my front door trying to cause harm to me or my family, not only are you going to get bit by a dog, you're going to get shot because I have two dogs in this house that would have no problem biting you if they felt you meant harm to anybody in this house. One weighs 80 pounds, the other one, full grown, will weigh 130. So, it
Yeah.
use common sense, people.
Oh yes. Don't mess with country folk. Country folk will kick your ass.
Yeah, Tommy, you're right. He was warned multiple times, and the dad had to do what he had to do to protect his daughter and his family.
Mm-hmm.
And the father was found innocent of all charges of everything for that shooting. He was found clear that he was in the lawful rights to do what he did.
Yep, it's called justifiable homicide.
Yep. So, but all right. So we're gonna quickly open to some questions from the chat here for any of us. If you have any questions for me or for Tater or for Decoy, feel free, and we'll try to answer them the best as we can. So,
And while we're waiting, I just want to give a quick shout out, as always, to all of our first responders, our military, our doctors, our teachers. I want to give a shout out to all of you. You do a great job. We appreciate what you do, and we support you 100%.
Yep.
Keep up the great work.
That is
yep.
true.
Heads up
And
to them all. Prayers to the ones that are out there fighting those fires right now in all these states that have active wildfires. All of our teachers and all that, man, they never get enough recognitions out there.
so,
So what do you mean by how do we feel about open carry? Well, it depends on where you are, because not every state has open carry.
so I'll start on this because in North Carolina is considered an open carry state. You can openly carry a firearm anywhere other than, federal government buildings, courthouses, stuff like that, or if they have a sign on the door that has to be a certain measurement, I do believe, that says no firearms concealed or otherwise. But in North Carolina, you can open carry or you can conceal carry. To me, I 100% agree with it. I think if you are a law abiding citizen and you are able to purchase and own a firearm and you want to carry it, I think you should have that right. Um, and in some cases, I think being somewhere and seeing somebody openly carrying a firearm, in some cases, deters somebody from doing what I would say something stupid. I have been in a couple different public settings, openly carrying my firearm, and been thanked for it. I've had a lady come up to me at an ice cream parlor in another county and tell me, thank you for carrying that. And you are more than welcome to carry it here anytime you please. So, in my opinion, I think every state should have it. Is it a good idea for everybody? No. Does everybody agree with it? No.
So I'll go next. I believe open carry to the extent of what kind, like a handgun on your side. That no problem, but carrying like a your rifle or that, no, you shouldn't need to be carrying a rifle on you or a shotgun. Just a handgun is enough to carry around. Because what were you doing with a AR-15 or that on you for around public? I don't feel any good reasons to maybe you're going to make some people feel scared by you carrying that, but a handgun, yes. Concealed carry here in Wisconsin, you need at this time you're going to need a concealed carry permit. You're not. If you don't, you can get in trouble for it. Fortunately, our governor at some point was trying to get rid of it, but wasn't going to go nowhere on that so far. So, but I think all states should have open carry because if you look in the Western time when everybody was carrying guns around, you didn't see a lot happen. And like the Tater said, it is a deterrent. I think. Then if you have somebody has them on them, you ain't going to do something stupid then, because if you start doing something stupid, they're just going to pull out their gun and shoot you for self-defense. So,
Tommy, as Boogie just said, man, open carrying a handgun, yes. There's no need to openly carry an AR-15 in public. All you're going to do is scare people. You're going to cause more trouble than it's worth. Um, openly carrying a handgun is one thing. Openly carrying a rifle or a shotgun in public, there's no need for that.
You can't even buy a shotgun holder for the back of your pickup trucks anymore. When I was growing up,
Nope.
they were common as dirt, and everybody had a shotgun and a rifle in the back of their window in their pickup truck. It
We
is
used
highly illegal now.
we used to pull up to high school with guns hanging in
Yes.
our back windows.
Yeah,
yep.
and we normally had one
And
in
now
the
you do
chamber.
that, you get in trouble.
Yeah, do that now, they'll lock you up forever.
Oh yeah.
So another thing I interestingly learned while I was doing my concealed carry, if you're open carrying a handgun or that, when you're driving, you have to have it on your dash mount so it can be seen. At least here in the state of Wisconsin, if you don't have it on dashboard and you have it somewhere else, you can get in trouble. It has to be on the dashboard, so if an officer pulls you over, they can see it instantly.
So, like with me, I don't have my concealed carry. So, if I'm carrying my gun, which I do frequently, I carry my Canic quite often. If I get pulled over by an officer, the first thing I'm gonna do is, as I'm pulling over, I'm gonna pull that weapon out and I'm gonna lay it on the dash. When I pull over, stop, I put my car in park and I keep both hands on the steering wheel at all times. And as he's walking up to my window, I inform him, "Hey, officer, I do have a weapon. It is on the dash."
Yep.
And
Yep.
and if the officer doesn't feel around here, if the officer doesn't feel comfortable with it being on the dash and you having your hands on the steering wheel, they'll ask you to step out for their safety.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the cops around here know people carry guns. They know they know when they pull somebody over, there's a good chance there's a firearm in the vehicle somewhere, concealed or otherwise.
Yep.
So they're used to it. And if you give them the common courtesy of letting them know you got it, then they're going to give you the common courtesy of not shooting you or beating your, excuse my French, but beating your ass for doing something
Yep.
stupid.
Yep.
All right, Tater, this one's for me and you. For what are our intentions for this podcast, and who are the target guests for this podcast? I believe we did cover it in our first episode. It was going to be mainly about firefighting, police, teachers, and all government issues with military and that, and our target is anybody that served for the community as Leo, fire, EMS, teachers, military, anything like that. Any community services.
Yep. Anybody that serves the community or the country in any way, shape, form, or fashion. Like Boogie said, whether it be fire, EMS, law enforcement, teachers, military, um, you you name it, um, we're gonna try to cover it, and we're gonna try to have all spectrum, all spectrums of guests from each individual department or service at some point or another, um, and get all sorts of point of views from everybody on each one. So,
Yep. All right. Then Timmy has, do y'all carry daily? And if so, do you carry a backup firearm? I'll let Decoy go first.
Here we don't have open carry. We have concealed, but I do not have a license. Nor when I moved up here, I got rid of all my firearms. Literally.
Tater?
I do carry. I wouldn't say daily. Um, I cannot carry daily due to my job. I do work for a school, and of course, you can't have firearms on school property. But if I am on the weekends, 9 times out of 10, if I'm out of the house, then that canic sits on my right hip. My wife, not so much. Um, Hers normally stays wherever she hides it on her side of the bed. I don't even know where it's at this point. Um, she doesn't really carry hers. She's new to the whole handgun thing, so and hers doesn't have a holster right now, so she can't really carry it even if she wanted to. But yeah, I carry if I'm not at work, and I'm gonna be home, and we're going out somewhere, around town, then yeah, I've got it with me. Um, if we're going to the beach, I don't carry it because South Carolina laws are different, and I can't carry across state lines as far as open carry goes.
For me, I don't, and if I want to, I gotta get my license renewed for a concealed carry. I don't open carry. I just don't have a holster for it. I do not have a backup firearm. I only own a M17 handgun that I do concealed carry when I do, and a shotgun. The only time I really can take my gun is if I am going to city like Milwaukee, unless I'm going to Brewers game for baseball or basketball. I will not, because you're not allowed to have them there. But main time is only when I go Milwaukee, because you can easily start getting carjacked and all that shit by gunpoint and all that there. That's been going crazy the last couple of years there. But no, I don't normally do, because where I live, I feel very safe and confident nothing's going to happen at this point in this little township. But I have concealed carried out of the state and cross lines up in Illinois. So I do put it back in my box and lock it up, because they do not recognize the state of Wisconsin's concealed carry license. But once I get out of Illinois, I do, because the rest of the states I've been in do recognize the Wisconsin's concealed carry license. So, which is nice. If you know what states do recognize it, then you can conceal it. But
Correct me if I'm wrong, but can't you get a list of what states recognize your state's concealed carry?
yes, you can. That's how I know what states because loud recognized ours, and the only one that I had to drive through was Illinois. When I was going to Mississippi and Arkansas was Illinois. Every other state I went through recognized Wisconsin's.
I don't think New York recognizes anybody's.
Nope, they don't. Not even California. So
Unless you be the 50, they make us the 48 states. Just get rid of those two and we'll be happy.
yep.
So, oh, we've already answered that. Never mind.
So,
do we have any other questions from chat that y'all? Any other questions y'all want to ask?
Would y'all be interested into anyone commenting on these episodes to have on a guest depending if they meet the certain criteria?
So we're open to comments, recommending guests, for sure. As long as they, we've put out there what we aim to do and who we target. And if they meet that, then for sure. If you've got recommendations, send them to either me or Boogie, and we will definitely get them on here at some point. If you yourself have ever served or taught, let us know if you want to be on here. We'll get you on here. We, like I said, we want to get all sides. We want to talk to everybody.
Yep.
Because everybody's experience is going to be different. And it's going to vary. Experiences are going to vary from state to state, city to city, town to town. So for sure, if you got them, send them our way.
Thank you, Tommy, for that comment. Appreciate it. Hopefully you come for our next one. So, let's see. And this turned out to be our longest one so far. We made it over 2 hours.
2 hours and 37 minutes to be exact, even after a late start.
That's what I'm talking about.
So,
and as always, guys, we want to thank y'all for supporting us. We want to thank y'all for watching. We
definitely want to thank.
We want to thank Decoy. Sorry, Boogie. We want to thank Decoy for being here and joining us.
It only took
and
3
giving
weeks.
us, I know, right? and giving us his point of view and his experiences. Decoy, we appreciate it, man.
Not a problem. Glad to be on, man.
Thank you for taking time out to be with us, man. It was a pleasure.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, it was
and
a
I
pleasure
would
being
like
here.
to thank Squad Productions for allowing us to have our podcast here. If it wasn't for them, we would have to find a different area to do it.
For sure. Squad Productions. If it wasn't for y'all, I don't know that we'd be where we're at. Thank you for allowing us to use your platform to get our word out and to spread the message.
Yep.
I think this is one that definitely needs to be heard.
Yep.
Yep.
So also like to thank Mr. Hunter and BB for our intro and our logos. Appreciate it very much for those, you guys. So
if anybody deserves recognition, it's definitely for this. It's definitely those two. They put a lot of time and effort into not just this podcast, but all the rest of them as well.
Yep.
Them two put a lot of work into it.
It's making everybody in this group for all the broadcasts feel like family. Because those two helped out a lot. So thank you guys again from bottom of my heart. Thank you.
You just think it actually all started with those two drunks.
Right?
And if I'm not badly mistaken, I don't want to step on anybody's toes, but make sure you catch those two drunks tomorrow.
Yeah, I believe they're starting at 12 noon
Yeah,
Central.
yeah, they're doing a day drinking episode, if I'm not badly mistaken.
Well, they
Yeah,
call
trying
it
something.
a day drinking, but that actually starts at 8:00 in the morning.
Right.
Okay, I gotta be
So
careful because I'm about ready to go into aftermath mode on them right now.
Yeah, let's save that until after.
Well,
Yeah,
we'll save it for Sunday.
Yeah, aka Chuck in the chat or Timmy. We are planning on doing that, doing the big roast, probably on this one, even though I'm here. Timmy will probably roast my ass. And the two drunks on Sunday. Yeah, if not Sunday, it'll be
Yep.
Monday. One of the two, but it'll be there.
Say y'all definitely earned it. Love this. I love this idea for this podcast. We'll be on sometime tomorrow. Catch y'all there. Well, we look forward to it, Hunter, and
Yep.
we appreciate y'all giving us the opportunity to put our podcast here and give our podcast a home. It means a lot.
Yep. So make sure y'all make it there. It will be a good one. Actually, Hunter and Baby, if you're both there, did you find that beer you guys were looking for?
Yes, to me, we will be fashionably late.
Like
and
we were.
They will be fashionably late.
Right.
That seems to be a trend for all of us. We're all fashionably late.
It's got to be a Squadcast production requirement to be fashionably late because you cannot be punctual. That's something that we've learned that it's not us. We're ready to rock and roll. It's YouTube, OBS, Discord. It sounds like I'm pushing the blame, but literally I'm not.
What was it, guys? We started at what?
8:50,
8:45, 8:50, getting ready for this, trying to get everything set up.
8:30.
Yeah, okay, 8:30, trying to get everything set up, and we didn't start till what? 9:30, 9:40.
Yeah, because we're not hitting 2 hours and 42 minutes and 30 seconds.
So Hunter said they did find it and they are ready with it. So that's good. Hopefully I'll be able to make it if I'm done helping my parents before it starts up and before I have to go to work. So be great. Hopefully I can be a guest here soon because this is my only Saturday I'm working, thank God. So what? All right. You ready to go, Josh? Close it out, or we got some more?
Yep, we're gonna send this one out. As always, we want to give our guests a chance to put what they got going on out there. So, Steve, this is your red carpet moment, man. Let the people know what you got going on.
Oh, just kicking back, enjoying life, and hanging out with you guys.
Heck yeah, heck yeah. Again, we want to thank everybody for joining us. We want to thank our guest, Decoy, for being here with us tonight. I want to thank my co-host. I want to thank my co-host, Boogie.
Thank you.
Without him, I'd be kind of lost. He's my saving grace when it comes to a lot of it. He helps me out more than anybody will know. So yeah, guys, this has been two Tater. Y'all got two drunks in my mind now. Look at you. This has been Tater and a Beer, guys. We love you. Shout out to all our first responders, our teachers, and our military. And we'll catch y'all on the next one. Have a good night.
Peace.
Good night.
Well, there's a guy named Tater. He's got a podcast show. Sipping on a cold one. Watch his stories grow. From the city lights to the quiet streets. Tater's talking about life with a beer at his feet. He's got the guests, he's got the spark, interviewing folks who've made their mark. Firefighters, cops, yeah, they're all here, talking about the things that they hold